Brought to you by Curious Marineland. So, when I teach about the cell theory, I'm also giving a history of science. Science is a process, and we're constantly revising what we've learned from the beginning until now. We're constantly going to make corrections, and we're going to make corrections in the future. So, the standard cell theory, let's kind of look at what I gave the students first. So, this is an article, gave them the read, and they filled this particular packet out. And I have a digital copy, so I'm going to go to that. All right, so they filled out all the historical figures, and then they created a timeline and then answered some additional questions. So once we did that, then I gave them, by the way, while doing it, this was an article, which I also had digital copies on Schoology for them to read. It was a hodgepodge of different stuff, get them to actually read. And a plot. And then they got this blank sheet of paper. Now, one of the reasons I'm making this video is because years ago, I had a student go above and beyond in several projects, and this was their foldable. So let's stop for a second and remind ourselves of what exactly is the cell theory. When I was on the side of the desk the students are now, it was just ABC. But we now know more. Now the modern theory is adding in genetics, adding in understanding of energy flow from heterotroph to autotroph to my phrase that I've used a lot, GUPE, get, use, process energy, to understanding basic molecules. These 6 elements make up all the macromolecules that make up all organic life. So let's look at some student work and make this a short video. So this was a student from the past. I did not have her do what I had the students do this year, which was talk about the development of the microscope. Now, this is a lot. I'm going to show you the front and back for some of these and just show you some student work and show students going outside, thinking outside the membrane, and giving them a chance to run with things. They really can deliver. So here's your all living things are made of basic cells. All living things are made of cells. Then the basic unit of structure, what I like about this one, and I'm not going to go into detailed things about all of them. This student shows you the flow of multicellular organisms, specializing in the tissue and eventually to getting to the organism. Then they have C, they're the traditional cell theory. Then the modern one adds in DNA. All living things have DNA and RNA. All right. Getting and processing energy. So they show, oh, this little organism eating something here. And then what I like here is it shows you the chemical composition, those 6 elements that I showed before. So I'm going to show a couple more student examples and show things that students who kind of went out of the normal realm, and some gave me like cartoons. Now this one, again, very good for basic structure. So let's zoom in a little. Let's come down here. So here's their A. They see the traditional plant animal because of sliding and swan. Okay. And here is basic structure. If you go in here, you'll see they've got plant animals. Now, obviously, we know there's 6 kingdoms, but we didn't do kingdoms till after this. Reproduction. Now, let's come over here. DNA. Their energy flow. This is something that I thought was quite interesting. If you look, anabolic, catabolic, like anabolism and cannibalism, catabolic, not cannibalism, sorry. So this student really looked into finding out about the 2 things about building and breaking down materials and using it, which is something we will do in great detail, dealing with energy. So I thought that was really good. Let's zoom back out a little. So it is a foldable. Foldable, as the kids are tired of me saying. So here's A. I didn't require that they cut them. Traditionally, that's what you do. So you have 2 tabs. You have a tab for B, basic unit structure. All cells come up pre-existing cells. They added in the historical figure. I'll mention that with the next one. All right. This one, Watson, Crick, and Franklin. Got to leave Franklin. Energy and chemical composition. Okay. One of the things that we also had them do with the development, this student really on the back, and I gave them some leeway. They could mention historical figures here. They could mention them on the front. But this one, what I like, they did the development and then they took that assignment about the timeline and they made a timeline across the top, which I thought was pretty cool. Actually going this way. Their timeline's going that direction. And then a written description. So let's look at inside. They added some nice color here. So again, let's walk through some of theirs. All living things are made up of cells. All living things, a cell is a basic unit. All cells come from other cells, like you see here. So they show really the basic structure. Organisms. For DNA, they show DNA replicating. This is pretty good. And then for energy, they show E for energy. They show the classic connection between cell respiration and photosynthesis. And then for formula, they give you protein. They mention them and they put them in a pie chart showing, hey, made up mostly water. All right. Couple more. Now, this one, so here's A, B, and C. What I like about this one, and like I said, all the kids got to really run with this. So for A, again, this is A, all living things. So they show you a zoom in of a microscope work, which is what Slyden and Swan were doing. Okay, for this basic unit, but we're also getting into specialization. One of the other students showed cell tissue, showing different types of cells in a unicellular there, but then they're showing the different types of multicellular. All right, comes from other cells, they show you mitosis and actually show cell reproduction and also sexual reproduction. This is egg and sperm making a baby. Okay. And then for their DNA, so they're showing DNA and RNA. Okay. Get, use, process energy. This is ATP. My students at this point, they show the mitochondria, they show the ATP, and then they got standard the F for the formulas. All right. Let's wrap through with this. All right. Nope. Actually, this one, well, I'll do this now because some of them gave me some good cartoon characters. I think some of us an anime fan. But they gave you some percentages and numbers for here. So these two stand out. Now this one, again, had a really good description on the back. But this one, sticking with the cartoon anime thing, look at this. All right. We got to see what they're trying to show us here. So this is Slyden and Swan, and over there, Hook, all kind of arguing over what's what here. All right, basic unit of structure. This is supposed to show Virchow. And let's see what they gave us here. So they're showing Rosalind Franklin and Watson and Crick, and we kind of know the story. She didn't really get credited with it, so we're giving her credit now. All right, energy flow. And again, basic structure, basic chemistry. All right. We did have some kids give me some nice colorful ones. Another one, this one again. So really good. They're showing all sorts of organisms here. There's A. Building blocks, showing an actual building block, and then showing Hook's famous cork experiment. All right. Now, what's interesting about this, and probably just got torn, they showed all cells come from other cells, but they also threw a throwback to Francesco Redi saying, there's no poof, there they are. It doesn't happen like this. This showed it didn't happen like this, but cell division does happen. All cells come from other cells. All right, there's DNA, and again, I like how they're crediting Franklin with there's X-ray crystallography. They actually listed Franklin first, and then Watson Crick. Well, she published before them, so she should be listed first. Energy. And again, my students are going to become quite familiar with the relationship between these two structures. And CHO, and there's N and S, but they have CHO, the formula. All right. Now, the last two gave me some nice color. But the previous one, they gave me some good artistry here. They show you the development of the microscope from Leeuwenhoek, who perfected the lenses and actually named animalcules. All right. So this one, they printed pictures of all these historical figures. They have Francis Watson, but they don't have Franklin, but we'll ignore that because we did address that earlier. Basics, all cells, basic unit, you know. So that's some good stuff. And then they gave a really good microscope. All right. We are so far more advanced now because we can see smaller and smaller and smaller because of the advancements of microscopes from Janssen to helping perfect that to Leeuwenhoek. All right. Let's wrap this up with okay, so on the back, they again showed all the things that led to this. All right, the development of the microscope. Now, let's look at their ABCs. So again, some nice color. You see L, ABC, D, E, F. I mentioned Franklin, and with over here. And of course, ending with formula. And yes, so this video went a little bit longer than I expected, but back to what I've always said, challenge kids to think outside the membrane and you can get some awesome results. Brought to you by Curious Maryland.